Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carly Stevens. I'm a teacher and author, and this is English Nerd. What season is it? Well, you might think it's fall. We're coming up on Thanksgiving. Maybe it's the season of the Scorpio races. NaNoWriMo, yes. But it's also Hamlet season. I am always so excited when I get to teach Hamlet in my high school classes where I teach, and we just started reading the play. So it just seems like the perfect time to talk about 5 unconventional paired readings that you can use while you're studying or teaching Hamlet. So obviously the play itself, in all of its forms, both the written and the performed versions, are what I would recommend first and foremost. You don't have to pair any readings with it to get a lot out of Shakespeare's Hamlet. However, if you want to do a deeper dive, if you want to spur on some discussion through some of these readings that you can do side by side with the original, that is what this video is all about. So I have narrowed down a long list of possible paired readings to, like I said, just 5. So let's run through what these are. Number 1 is the most conventional, and that is one of Shakespeare's sonnets, specifically 74. Sonnet 74, but be contented when that fell arrest, without all bail shall carry me away. The wording is so similar to the end of the play Hamlet, and the ideas are so similar. It's just put into this lovely alternate format. And so looking at some of the ideas that are retained, some of the ideas that are changed from the play to the sonnet, I think would be a really interesting exercise. And again, since the wording is so similar, to kickstart this sonnet, I think it's a worthwhile paired reading. The second kind of unconventional reading that you can do with Shakespeare's Hamlet is the portion of Aristotle's Poetics that deals with the dramatic unities that he recommends for all drama, for all plays. It's interesting because Shakespeare does not observe most of these dramatic unities in a lot of his work, and so I think it could spur some great discussion about what are the limitations of using this level of structure. How does and why does Hamlet go in a different direction? So yeah, it talks about how there ought to be this unity of place, which Hamlet does generally stick with the unity of place, a unity of action, just different types of things that ought to be in place in all plays, according to the famous Aristotle. And in most cases, it seems like his advice would be correct, but when or how can that diverge, right? Okay, number 3. Number 3 is a letter from Abraham Lincoln to James Hackett, August 17th, 1863. So I know that was a bit of a mouthful, but the reason I like this letter, I ran across it. It was on display in Thomas Jefferson's home, like that museum kind of nearby Monticello, if I remember correctly. But I was all excited to find this letter, which is quite short. It's like half a page, because it talks about Abraham Lincoln's favorite soliloquy in Hamlet, and his choice is very unconventional. He says that he prefers Claudius's one soliloquy to all of Hamlet's. And so again, I think this could spur some really great discussion. Abraham Lincoln was a big fan of the theater, as we all know. And so it's a really interesting look at that. Okay, going back to poetry, one of my all-time favorite poems is The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock by T.S. Eliot, which is about the modern dilemma, people feeling disconnected from one another, etc. But there is a section toward the end that says, am not Prince Hamlet, nor was meant to be, am an attendant lord. And then he goes on to kind of describe himself more as a Polonius than as a Hamlet. And in the context of the larger poem, again, it's great fodder for discussion about how Hamlet and its ideas fit into modern life and sensibilities and difficulties that maybe are different than the ones that Shakespeare experienced and his original audience experienced. And then the last recommendation that I have shouldn't surprise anybody, but I do think that it makes for a great paired reading with Shakespeare's Hamlet, and that is Laertes' A Hamlet Retelling. So it's the story of Hamlet, but it's told from Laertes' point of view. It has a ton of quotes from Hamlet just woven into the story. I repurposed different elements of it. It deals with the same themes as the original Hamlet does, but in a very different way. It has a dark academia kind of aesthetic set in the 1920s instead. So yeah, it's I'm very proud of this book, and I think it would do well as a paired reading. So if you are, again, teaching or studying Hamlet and these things have interested you, then all of them are available in the Hamlet Reader. Those are the 5, right? My little tabs, that's why I kept looking down. The Hamlet Reader is available only on Amazon, only in the US, but everything I mentioned, except for Laertes, is in the public domain as well. So you can look that up and find different versions on the internet legally, which matters to me. So yeah, you can either pick up the Hamlet Reader or you can look up those individual paired readings based on where your interests or your classroom goals lie. So yeah, let me know. There are so many great paired readings with Hamlet. What have you taught or studied alongside that amazing play? Let me know some of the other ideas you have down below, and I'll include a link to the Hamlet Reader and Laertes in the notes. So make sure to subscribe for more English nerdy goodness. Click that notification button if you want more literature and writing tips and such like this. Yeah, until next week, bye.